You've just tuned in to Sa4IR South Africa. We hope to inspire coordinated, inclusive response to the fourth industrial revolution. This is your boy TJ Ntokozo Mtembu, and I'm here with my co-host Branel. What's up?
It's always good to be here.
Come on, man.
Ntokozo.
This is what we do.
The last time you joked and said, I have christened you my co-host.
Properly, like it has been bestowed upon me.
I am
a host.
Yeah, no. And you are brilliant at it.
Come on, man.
I could not have
Look at you making me blush right now.
Yes, I could not have never imagined you as and I said, potentially.
Yeah.
We do certain things.
Sure.
But don't see that it are leading us to greatness.
And that's exactly, even talking to you, South African, that look, okay, you might not even be South African, but you, listener, wherever you are, whatever your situation may be, that don't take it lightly that you're listening to this, because the connections that you make, and this is something that we realized, that look, we once met one day on a washing line, and it was just conversations between two people who just seemed to connect, and boom, it has led to this. So you never know what's in it for you and what's going to happen, how your future is going to change. And that's why you've tuned in to Sa4IR South Africa, where we're going to inspire the living daylights out of you, actually. So let's get into it. Branel, last time we were talking about why South Africa is responding to Sa4IR. That's the title of your blog. Get into it. What's happening there?
Yeah. No, look, we try and address this question.
Yeah.
And point to just two major problems.
Go for it.
With South Africa. But, just the last point I was making on our previous episode.
Yeah, that's saying, episode 2, yeah.
Unfortunately, the Sa4IR is bringing us to talk. They call it a new struggle.
Yeah.
New struggle.
Yeah, there you go.
The new struggle that we need to all participate in, as it will affect us all. But as I was saying to you, unfortunately, the way the prevailing communication of this fourth industrial revolution is such that, it is giving people a very, very limited perspective. And of course, we are here to try and expand that perspective. Okay? So, South Africans, what can technology do for me? That's what they say.
That's a powerful statement, right?
They say, what can technology do for me? They're not asking what technologies I can make. In this context.
So the latter question is more powerful than the former.
Yes, because that's what drives
the creative spirit.
That is why we have the Sa4IR. It is the very same question that these people are asking themselves. What can I make of this technology?
A person who sees themselves as a solution as opposed to a victim.
Yes. You have Apple Macintosh. Apple Macintosh happened in the same way.
Yeah.
When the personal computer came, it was a revolution.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill Clinton and his friends. Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Bill Gates and his friends.
If you know about Microsoft now.
Yes.
Because Apple is from Steve Jobs, and then Microsoft.
No.
That would be.
Let me tell you. There's a movie called The Pirates of Silicon Valley.
Yes. Yeah.
You watched that movie. In fact, I want to recommend.
Come on.
Yes.
So you're also getting movie recommendations, by the way.
The Pirates of
the Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley.
That's a hub of innovation right there.
Exactly. That is why it's so powerful, that name, the Pirates of, because it is pirates, people who don't conform, that populated.
And you've just touched on the spirit of people like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, people who just stepped outside the norm.
They were pirates.
And as a result, they've changed the world.
Yes, they were pirates. So they were pirates of this personal computer was not there.
Yeah.
Now, Bill Gates left Apple Macintosh. They started together, but he left it and started Microsoft, because what he saw was that this hardware, because remember the personal computer was still hardware, and just very minimal application.
All right.
But Bill Gates again saw the potential in the technology and created what is called software. programs,
So he
Windows.
was dealing with the lack of facility of what he was used to, and he decided, I can develop on this. I can give this thing more functionality by creating Microsoft.
Which is what has driven the fourth industrial revolution. I tell you again, in those countries, that kind of innovation, it is something that was not owned by the government.
In fact, in a way, he actually started the computer revolution, because the computer revolution is what has led to the fourth industrial revolution.
Hence, do you see the trouble with Microsoft and Apple Macintosh?
Yeah.
That is why you did not have MS Word or MS Office on an Apple phone.
Sure.
Because there was these historical relations that governed that kind of relationship. But the point is, how is this relevant to the blog?
Yeah.
It is again addressing the same theme. What are the non-negotiables that put certain individuals or certain countries ahead? Now, we will talk about countries because at the end of the day, individuals always express something good about their countries.
Okay. Yeah.
Countries actually harp on. You see, Bill Gates, what is his name? Donald Trump did not make Google. He did not make Google.
Yeah.
But today, he's the one that is demanding that Google must not just
give technology
to China. You understand what I mean? So there is always that relation between the state and the people. The state, the developmental states, such as China, such as America, they see the value of a state that is investing, so that it is not just about the mining, as it is the problem here.
Yeah.
If you get money from mining, if you get money from agriculture, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We're relying on your natural resources.
We're relying on your natural. We
are discounting the power of human capital.
And discounting the power of human capital. And that is where the intrinsic problem is. That's why they're always saying change the structure of the economy, because it is driven largely by three things: finance, financial industry, what do you call it? Mining industry. Raw materials. The world has changed, and in China they saw that very early. They picked it up and said, we are moving from being input driven and driving our economy through infrastructure, building and exporting our capability to build.
So they boosted, because this is something we touched on in the previous episode, they boosted their productivity so that they are competitive in the world economy. And this is something that
they realigned.
Talking about.
Yes, they realigned themselves. They realigned themselves from the government down to the society and said, remember, we are in the middle of the League of Nations.
Sure.
And so we need to be competitive so that we've got strong economies that can balance our social order.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, it always goes with the state. If you don't have a developmental state, now President Ramaphosa now speaks about we need an entrepreneurial state. No, I get shocked sometimes when I'm sitting there alone and say, but what kind of people are working there? Because in my old school understanding that you need policy analysts that will not have had us come to this situation where we've got people getting losing their jobs in the banking sector. Point being that if you have a state, if you meet those non-negotiables, for example, have institutions that have got people that are scientifically dealing with the concept of development. It's not just a thing. It is
the thing. It is not just a thing. It is the thing.
It is the difference between having a failed state and a state that is working. When I mean failed state, I'm talking about Zimbabwe. I'm talking about all the states, countries that there is war in. It's because the state failed in its elementary role.
To develop itself to be something.
In fact, to develop itself, because it's like if you want to micro understand this thing. A government is like your house.
Yeah.
You in your house. You are the president, and you have a vice president and everything. But you have a vice president as your wife.
All right.
And so and so and so. She's responsible for certain things and so. The nature of life that your children will have will be on the basis of the social plan you have for yourself. So if you micro understand that, you are saying the state that is South Africa failed to prepare its citizens for 4IR.
Come on.
You see?
Come on.
And largely, the reason being, first important reason, if you lack a visionary, inspirational, and innovative development theory and practice. Now, what do I mean by development? You see, this concept called development is a very broad thing.
Come on.
It's not that we didn't have a pipe there. And in fact, I laughed because in my previous time, as I was working with a number of councillors, I was teaching councillors.
Yes.
A capacity building program just for themselves.
Yeah.
Interpersonal skills, emotional
how to make sure that they are equipped to handle the responsibility. Exactly
the point. And you would find that not only did you have councillors that didn't understand that they are in the middle of a much more broad and complex process called development.
Come on.
People will say, oh, I'm trying to bring development to my area by just a pipe of water. No, that is the immediate expectation of why we have government. It's nothing of a special thing that because government is giving a pipe there, water. No, that is a government's, in fact, the natural role of government.
That's the purpose of them being there.
That's the purpose of them being in the first place. That's why people pay taxes, so that they can deal with health, they can deal with education, they can deal with employment, they can deal with just to maintain a healthy social order.
So you're talking about now planning where, for example, you have a document called the National Development whatever
Plan,
right? That if ever that's not structured in a visionary way, primarily not only looking at the ideal that we want, but what's required of us. Because the example you were making of how you used to teach counselors to be able to be in a position where they are capable of actually fulfilling their responsibilities, that it needs to also deal with what's going to happen in the future and what are we going to need to have. Because it doesn't help for me to sit in my house and decide for myself what's going to be needed, but I need to know what's on demand.
Yes. Now, that is why you see when Harry Truman, the old
President Harry Truman,
the former, I think he's late US president. It was around the 50s when he used the word development. It's not a word that came out of nowhere. It just came with him. He said, the underdeveloped countries, when you are speaking.
Yeah.
Because Americans start here at the top. They set their vision in relation to all other nations in the world.
Okay.
They're conscious. That's the first level they're conscious about. They are who? A beacon of light.
Okay. So they have an identity that they ascribe themselves.
They start there. Their nationalism says they are Americans. They are an advanced society.
So then that's the first thing that we as a country need to have, and the individual also needs to have, the listener also needs to have that sense of, this is what I am, and now I need to develop myself to be that.
That is the order. That is the order of human civilization. That is the order of
even successful
progress.
People, by the way, have that, and where they see themselves as something, and then they move in that direction.
They move in the direction of the vision. So the vision must be transformative. You can't have a vision to just do the same thing.
Yeah.
No, you have to have a vision to do something different.
Yeah.
Now, the South African state, as I said in a previous podcast, the South African state is still really grabbed in the mode of a administrative state.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so, because it is so involved with redress politics and redress programs.
For example,
RDP, building houses, RDPs,
basically providing stuff all the time.
Because now they are dealing with the backlog of what that apartheid state should have done. Okay,
sure.
It is no excuse that it is again neglecting consciousness about what the future holds at the global level. So the Americans are holding it at that level. Globally, all the decisions they make have got a global impact because they have resolved to be
they see themselves as
a
at that level.
leading society in the world.
Yeah.
You see, really, this is very fun because, they're very, I wish I could sit and hear an American, why do you want to believe that you are an advance? Why are you pursuing?
Why are you calling yourself that?
Yeah, why are you
most
calling yourself that?
Nation, the wealthiest nation in the world, the most prosperous country in the world.
Is that important in any case? If I'm just asking, an informal question to an American, it's interesting to know. Ne? You go to the Chinese. In fact, somebody was commenting about their recent, maybe last month, their recent parade.
Okay.
You see, we do the same. On their national days, you would have a celebration of and a display of what the country has been able to achieve.
Sure.
So if there is a new aeroplane, it will be going there to show off that we have created.
Here's its capacity.
Here's its capacity.
And here's how it's better than everything else
now
that's come before.
Now we've just accepted last week 2 new Russian belt fighters.
Yes, when the president was there.
Yes. So now we are playing global politics as sleepy participators or participants, the right word, participants, because these guys were sending a message, the Russians, that
this is what we have.
Yes, but they are Russians, my brother. You understand? They are who they are. So the nationalism is a very important glue to a society. Now, our problem here. We've got racism, we've got
gender issues, we've got, we have it all. We have it all, basically.
Yeah, we are just not finding ourselves. And in fact, the vision of which would have addressed the question of nationalism, the vision, the issue of the rainbow nation. It is lagging. You understand? It is a thing that is lagging. We can't properly define it.
So we had a philosophy, and we have failed to actually develop that philosophy to be even relevant currently now.
In fact, society really did not grab. In fact, it happens.
That's actually
in bits and pieces. In bits and pieces, it happens. When the bokeh come, we are all for that moment for the bokeh.
It's almost like a person who's taking pictures where they smile during the picture and then they're unhappy after the picture. That the truth of it is that it's not real for the person.
So that's level 1 of our problems.
Unifying philosophy.
Yes, because for example, the unifying philosophy of why, and in fact, companies like Huawei were able to come to being. It was largely because the foundations of that nationalism was allowing for the sprouting of such things, sprouting of innovators, sprouting of Alibaba. You understand? Because Alibaba became, not only because it started in China, but just imagine how it has swept through that industry of online shops.
There's actually a potential that you see these big change makers that they start by solving one problem and they end up redefining the possibilities of what was known before,
Yeah.
the boundaries of what was thought of as the
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But that is the nature of those societies, exploratory. You know, by their nature, innovative. By their nature, the government has put the understanding of their people, its own understanding of their people, to say, we are Chinese. And as a politician there, I seek to understand what the vision of these people are without me telling them what their vision must be.
So the country ends up reflecting that the culture of the people in that nation.
You know, you will see,
talked about identity.
Yeah, you will see in the blog as you read, just to get a little bit more the meat out of just the points that we're raising.
Yes.
That you will see, for example, that the Communist Party of China really ended up ensuring that it germinates, if you want, or plants the seed of innovation at all levels of its society. Why?
Sure.
Because they were sitting here and thinking, what are we to be in the next 20 odd years?
Yeah.
Well, we've done that with this National Development Plan, but from my reading ever since, it has been that this thing is not really an understanding of a development trajectory or development vision from a point of view of the original concept.
Can you give us examples of things that were in there and have yet to translate into not only what we see, but what's needed specifically?
Look, most of the things that are in that NDP are not, in fact, almost everything is not achieved.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, what worried me about the NDP is that it speaks, as I was saying, the same old thing.
Yeah.
The same thing that government must do.
Yeah.
Government must make sure that institutions are effective. Strengthen the state. Create institutions to focus on economic development. We must make sure that the state is aligned. Those things are not even worth noting,
because it's supposed to. It goes without saying.
It goes without saying. What you should be doing is saying those plans that you are saying must be done. Those things that must be done. They must be done in a different manner. They cannot be in a development vision. The development vision would be, what are we going to look like these Americans did, like these people did.
To envision
something,
an ideal self, and then aspire to that.
Exactly.
That it was supposed to have detailed where we desire to be. That, for example, we need to have 4 mega cities by this time, and then if we're going to have 4 mega cities, we need to improve on sector 1, 2, 3. That will give us the capacity to have those mega cities.
Not to have a national development plan that speaks of, that notes problems of our incapacities that we know we are causing ourselves.
I'm starting to understand what you're talking about, because what you're saying is that all it had in there was administrative imperatives that go without saying, as opposed to visionary steps that need to be taken, that now the administrative duties will obviously take care of.
Yeah, where it's not addressing what changes do we want to see in the quality of life and in what South Africa has come up to be a shape that is different, not a South Africa that is still South Africa that we extract. We are known for gold and platinum. Yeah. The platinum belt in the northwest.
Yes. That those are
we
resources
are not
that we have.
Exactly.
We haven't even managed to put those to good use, and now we haven't developed anything else to add to what we have.
So what we have is a problem, because we don't have what we call innovative development. And in fact, before I came across the China South Africa publication, when I was doing a bit of research, about the word, is because I had, in my own working some time, had this linkage between innovation and development. Development is a process that can be turned into anything you want. Okay, but the innovation part, and I thought, you know what we're failing in South Africa here is that we don't use innovative development. Innovative development says we put innovation at the center of all our development programs. Okay, whether it is trying to solve gender-based violence, we must put innovation in there, in the sense that we must be not wanting to give solutions that are obvious. That are obvious in the sense that what are we solving? We're solving that people must not beat each other or rape each other, or are we trying to create a society of
that is
compassion
peaceful.
that is peaceful? So the vision becomes peacefulness and compassion,
as opposed to administrative duties,
which should have been done in the first place when somebody rapes somebody. That, you know,
this needs to be done.
It should follow, because then it should follow because then the courts are there for that thing, a small crime. But again, the perceptiveness, we have seen this come. And I say to you, because I used also to be a coordinator of the National 16 Days campaign. Because what I saw at the time, the framing of the campaign was simply a public education campaign. Not to address everything, but to also draw together all these partners of, I'm just hitting on this.
Yes, go for it.
Just as an example. But here is where the problem is. The vision was how to coordinate state resources to not only sensitize people that, hey, there is a problem of gender-based violence, but people were just too concerned about, no, make sure the police don't need to be told.
They know what their job is.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So we have a very problematic mind state, a culture of how we think through
perhaps
things.
Perhaps that's a symptom of that disconnected, or I'm trying to come up with a word that describes that we had a philosophy, but that philosophy hasn't become us. We had an ideal that we put out there, and it was not incorporated in society. Because look, if, for example, the philosophy was a rainbow nation, and some of the tenets of that philosophy were ubuntu, that look at our society right now. There is nothing that says there's ubuntu about us. There's nothing that says we are a rainbow nation, because we have racial tensions. And one of the things that we will do in our next episode, we will definitely make sure that we do this, is to, number one, list for you, and this is already in one of the blogs, you'll get the information on this recording, is that there are trends with Sa4IR that are basically taking over the world. You know, when you look at AI, when you look at robotics, when you look at all of these things, that we need to list these things out and then start to tackle them primarily from a perspective of what are the possible solutions that would be that would basically help us to create this future that you're talking about. Because obviously we need to look at what's happening around us, what we need, and what is this fourth industrial revolution bringing as a solution to us to say, here are the tools, decide what you want to be.
Indeed. More important, and Ntokozo, also, just as we close this aspect, nationalism, important, because it has driven the nations that are leading in the Sa4IR.
It's a vital tool for any nation to have.
But bring it down to the next level, and maybe the last point for this episode, that because we had a state that has spent time giving and not including people to create a new
problem solving.
Yes, and a problem solving state. We have woken up too late because all these technologies advanced in front of our eyes. It's not that today when we're fashioning this thing as something new, the Sa4IR.
It's not new. It's not new.
It's not new. It is something that has been creeping. And you see the data that people in those other countries kept on seeing and making interest. So you have government that has got institutions that also are not really focusing all their energies on intelligence seeking outside of the globe.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we are. We wake up to a new world, a new possibility,
a new world, and our neighbors are already far ahead of us now.
Yeah,
where we barely keeping up.
Because not only are we having weak institutions to be able to do that, the Chinese have rallied government and the people.
Yeah.
Okay, to create this beauty in front of them called a strong China.
Yeah.
So we need
a globally competitive.
So here we are with the fourth industrial revolution, are being now given the opportunity. Okay. Now, one of the things that given the opportunity now to frame ourselves in this new world.
Come on, man.
You understand?
Yeah.
So the individuals frame yourself in a new world, and not be on a risk of whether or not you'll be in that world or out of that world, because that is for us that's
the question right now. It's not a question of will we be thriving there? Will we be in there? That's the first question now.
No, definitely for existence, because now we're looking at a new world.
Yeah.
Now whether you are existing in that or you are you are out of it.
Sure.
So for us as citizens, the question must be, what vision do we want in that new world? For government, what systems can we put in place that will be inclusive and that will work to help us invest in our people, so we create. You see, there are no people in government who are innovators in technology.
It's mostly administrators, basically.
And
it's the responsibility of the private sector and the individual, you listener, who needs to be the source of that innovation.
They need to take advantage of this fourth industrial revolution, because in the first place, that is what Chinese citizens did. That is what all citizens of the world, of countries that are serious about having a healthy state and position in the global order of life.
Now here's the interesting thing, and I don't want to interrupt you because you're on a roll right now. We're number 35 or 36 in global GDP, to show you that, look, in terms of where we can be, we've fallen way down.
We have fallen way down, and you're right. Now, here is our president. We can give them the government, we give them a bit of credit now, because much as they have responded late, it is the problem of the political challenges they had for the past 10 years.
Yes. Not to mention the infighting now that's there. That's there. But it came at a cost, because it made people sleep on the most important. Any state in the world that seeks progress and competitiveness gets itself organized around how to be conscious of change, what it implies, and in fact does things and actions that wish to counter that change that is negative, but also begins to be inspiring nation, excited, and say, hey, the Germans have built this car, we want to build this one. There you go.
Those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Why are we even today not having I know there are these cell phones that they make, man. They once tried to use all these artists, Kabelo Mapalani and what is this other one? I cannot remember. I cannot forget his name. But they were using them to advertise those. But those were small. It's not Alcatel.
Yeah.
Because Alcatel also it's a local producer.
Really? Okay.
But the point is, look at the level entry. They were making entry level phones. Alcatel,
for me, I'm wondering the question that, all right, they started to do that. What stopped the growth? Because, to play devil's advocate here, that look, they started to make, let me be harsh and say, a pathetic product. right?
Including Vodacom has got its own now.
Yeah.
Branded
Vodafone. Yeah.
The question you're asking is absolutely great, because it goes and highlights this last point that the blog has touched on.
Yes.
Which is, you don't have institutions that an institutional infrastructure that helps SMMEs, that helps. You've got National Empowerment Fund. You've got all the funds.
But they fail to actually be the fosters of this growth that we definitely need.
Because had it been that their business tasks are connected to a vision of saying, when these people come and want to expand and innovate, give them this money.
Let's foster that change. Because look, one of the things that we were talking about off air is the question of the NYDA. That look, that's an institution that was set up specifically for the purpose of fostering this innovation, this growth from the youth, from the citizens. And you talk to people who have tried to engage with institutions like the